I watched some of the other reaction videos. I think there was something that was missed.
We have to go back to the past to understand that the past is what changes the most.
What is the story really about? It's about an airplane disaster where men were trapped in the Andes and had to survive. And one way they had to do that, one way, was by eating the flesh off of the corpses of the people who had died. It's not just a disaster film. It's a movie that makes you really confront what you believe. I have actually seen this before. I was actually watching it in my childhood bedroom, in the living room. We had a hospital bed set up, and my mom was dying. My mom's week in hospice, and her death was, oddly enough, kind of beautiful. She had all the comforts of home. You know, we took her out of the hospital. This is hard. And she had her favorite music playing, and her favorite shows and movies, and all her family and loved ones came by to visit, and it was what I think we all would want. And so I think it's the Christian allegory, the B story that's really focused on faith and death. And what is the meaning of all of this? It really made me appreciate the film when I was going through that. I'm okay now. I just wanted to share that with you, and share what I saw in the film. The boys on the rugby team are from, I think, a school called Old Christians, and there's 40 of them. And 40 is definitely an important number, along with 3 and 7 in the Christian faith.
And he remained in the desert for 40 days and nights. But Jesus answered,
Man cannot live on bread alone. And that harkens back to later in the movie when they're starving to death. You know, that's easy to say when you're full, that you need something more than bread. But how do you say that to someone who's starving? You know, what does that mean? How does religion feed you? They're in church, they're going through the motions, you know, they're Catholic. They're not really there. They're passing notes, they're thinking about their trip. They are believers, but do they really have faith? In the coffee shop, they're behind the glass while this protest is going on. They're there, but they're not really involved. They're excited for their future and what they're going to study and where they're going to go to school and what girl are they going to date. Numa. Breaks my heart to see him.
Tell me how the radio works.
There's a spirituality to the edit itself. The warm light of the sun coming in on this hellscape. Beams of light like they'd come through a stained glass window at church. I know towards the end, at one point, the radio is just playing like Ave Maria. I think it's a microcosm for Earth, for life. We hunger, we have addictions, we ache, we have to work, we miss people, we love and we lose. We get betrayed, we get lied to, we get robbed, sometimes murdered. I mean, there's abuses, there's corruption, chaos, war. Sometimes a tornado just drops out of the sky, takes out everything. And this is what we do. We try to make a plan. We try to have some kind of routine. We stick together. Try to heal and help. We try to eat and tell jokes. And one of the things that sets us apart from the animals is we honor our dead. We have traditions. We respect their bodies. We have services and funeral rites and remembrances. And we feel grief. I think animals feel grief and loss too, but it's very pronounced with us. It's such an integral part of the Christian faith. They reenact that moment repeatedly by taking a wafer and taking a drink of wine. And these boys did it repeatedly. Catholic boys here, they did this. And they went through the ritual. But what does it actually mean? What did he mean when he said, "This is my body"? Eat it.
How long can we survive? Do you know the rule of three? No. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food.
I mean, what would you do? I think you'd have to. It's a horrifying idea, but you'd have to, right?
Marcelo, we're dying. We're starving and they're not coming. We're wasting ourselves away.
7 days and 7 nights without food. Nothing. If we don't eat, we're gonna die.
Eat what?
You know, some of the stuff I've read in the Bible, like that he knows every hair on your head. You know, some of that stuff in the book of Job is pretty profound. Like, have you ever walked the floor of the ocean? Have you been there in the thicket with the deer when the fawn is born? Like, to be everything. God is a massive concept, really. And so when you're confronted with this as something that happens to you in life, makes you question your faith, makes you question everything.
If I die, I give you permission to feed on my body,
Would you give someone permission to do that?
so you can keep on living.
They pray. And we see it through Numa's eyes, who rejects it. To me, I think you could have the perspective that the story of Jesus is just a story of a man who believes certain things that may not have been true. Think about his life and his death at face value. He was born to parents out of wedlock, to probably a really young girl, raised up poor. He had followers, but I don't know if he had many friends. And then he was eventually, arrested, put on trial, convicted, and sentenced to execution. And died. Sometime, 2,000 years ago. And that's the story on face value. So then you start to wonder, what do you believe? It's like that scene in Indiana Jones. It's time to ask yourself what you believe.
Come on.
I don't chew more than 2 or 3 times, and I force myself to swallow.
He's so hurt by it.
What does it all mean? What's the meaning of the death of Arturo, the death of Vasco, or the death of everybody else?
Liliana gave everything. When we finally got to Liliana, she was just a lifeless corpse. I hugged Liliana with all of my strength, and I felt a love I'd never felt in my life. And I realized that I had a purpose.
I want you to know that you have my permission to use my body. I know I'm not coming back. I'm prepared for what's coming.
His body fed them so
My name
that
is Numa.
they could take the journey to get
I
out.
died on December 11th, 1972. In my sleep.
And then, of course, one of the most famous parts of the gospel, and they pass it around one at a time, looking at it. He finally knows the meaning of it until it's essentially passed to you, the viewer, the camera. There's no greater love than to give one's life for friends. So I don't know if you've ever read the Harry Potter books. Neville Longbottom was actually the chosen one. Because Voldemort got confused and thought it was Harry, it became Harry. When Jesus was born, his mother believed. And so he grew up and had to at some point confront this idea was, is she right or not? Was there a period of his life where he might have struggled with whether he believed? Once he believed, did that make it true? Does believing kind of make certain things true? What does your faith say? Was Jesus just a man who was crazy and was executed? Or was he a miracle? It's time to ask yourself what you believe.